Hi everyone, Kim Mays here with Rockin' Dogs Positive Dog Training, and today we're going to be giving you some quick tips and games to help you with a better recall or come command with your dog. So the first tip that we're going to give you today is having the correct tools. So when you're first teaching a command like this, it's really all about management in the beginning and making sure the dog can come away from whatever they're interested in or doing, come quickly, and be able to stop at you. So to do all those things and to help you through that process, you're definitely going to need what we call a recall line. So a recall line is just a really long leash. This one's about 20 feet, and that's what I usually start with, about a 15 to 20 foot line. They make them anywhere from 10 to 50 plus, I think. But this is your safety line if you're in a new environment. But in the future parts of this video, you're going to see me using this even when we're in the easiest parts of the house and the very preliminary stages of teaching my dog this command. It's very, very important to have this on, because if I'm calling my dog repeatedly and they're blocking me out or interested in a distraction and they're not coming, well, that's what they're doing when they don't know come. So we're really not teaching them anything, are we? So we have this line on. In many situations, it can just lay on the ground, but we need to have that so we can grab it and help them in a little bit if that need presents itself. And as you add distractions, it inevitably will. You will have a situation where you'll need to grab that. So you guys go out and get your training lines, your recall lines, and we'll get started. All right, for our next quick tip, we need to make sure that we have tools that we need other than just the recall line. So what I like to call this is the trifecta. This is how we're going to call our dog. We need to kind of get it down a little bit and get it on automatic pilot for us. So think of it like this. If I teach my dog to sit, and that's my hand signal, and I do that repetitively in training, and then I go out and one day I call my dog over and I say, Sapala, taco. How's he gonna respond? He doesn't know that word. He might not respond at all, or at the very least he's gonna waver. Or what if I did it differently? What if I said sit? Still a hand signal there, but it's totally different. So is he gonna respond? Probably not, or probably not as well as we want. So when we're picking our way of calling our dog to us, we need to kind of figure out the best way, the way that works best for them. So that's what I call the trifecta. So it's three things, obviously. The first one being a special reward. So I want you to test different kinds of rewards. It can be treats, it can be toys, but if you put everything on a scale from 1 to 10 for your dog, 10 being what I would consider a high octane, high value reward, I would say for your recall, you really want this to be an 11, okay? This is a life-saving command, so we want to pull out all the stops. We also want to use our voice and be exuberant, and if they want belly rubs when they get to us, we give them that. We want to make sure it's a great, great command, but the reward is something that we need to kind of pick and choose because it's different for every dog. So I'll use this when I'm practicing come. I might use it when if my dog shoots out the front door and they get away from me and I think I need it. But for other purposes, this reward is hidden. They don't get it for their other commands. We don't give it all the time. It's kind of like our special holdout treat. So that's the first part of the trifecta. The second part is I want you to use a super visual hand signal. So something that your dog can see if they're 4 houses down from you. So that could be maybe a lower center of gravity and a pat. Lower centers of gravity are always more inviting to some dogs. You could do a clap, you can do a wave down, but it needs to be something that's like an airline controller waving them in. And then the last part is probably the one that you're going to have to play with the most, and that's your vocal or your sound cue. So there's many different ways to say the word come, and there's many different sounds you can use as well. So there's a huge difference to a dog if I say come, 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 and then the next time I go come here. those are two different commands. So we need to kind of narrow that down and make sure it's solid. The other thing that we run into a lot is that this is a very easy command to screw up. So there's a huge difference between if I go, come here, and I'm really, really excited, and we practice that way, and then my dog goes in the house and steals a sock, and I go, come here, and I get angry with my voice. So that's obviously one that we want to avoid, but you can use different kinds of noises to completely avoid it. So whistles and squeaky toys are actually some of the most common thing used, especially with people that do competitive obedience with their dogs, to help get a really reliable recall. So if you think about it, if you blow a whistle, you can't make an angry whistle. Even if you can whistle yourself, if you get stressed and your dog runs away, it's just not going to come out. You're just going to be blowing air. Or a squeaky toy, unless they've had a bad experience or a scary experience with a squeaky toy, most dogs love them and they think they're great. So in the next few videos, you're going to see me using a variety of tools and ways of calling my dog to get to me to see what she's best reactive to. What I'm looking for with the trifecta is the best pull away value. So if my dog is knee deep in a hole or chasing a bird across the backyard or some kind of heavy distraction, what is the combination of those three things that helps my dog pull away the fastest and makes them really go, what was that? That's the one that you go with. So you always want to work with what is working best for the dog. Remember, this is a life-saving command. So we're going to go on to some steps with the dog and show you the first initial ways of how you're going to start calling this come. So let's get ready. So how many of you have a dog that likes to play the keep away game? You know, when they steal your sock or a piece of paper and run under a piece of furniture and hide from you, trying to get your attention and trying to get you to chase them. Well, tip number 3 is don't fall for the keep away game. This is a great opportunity to turn this behavior into a great come and drop it command instead of playing that chase and that keep away. If your dog was to ever get out of the house, say they slip their collar or go running out your front door, and you play keep away with them every day, that's the game they're going to want to initiate outside. That's the first thing they're going to go to, and they're going to bolt. So we need to change that game quite a bit, and we need to turn into a lot of pursuance games where the puppy or the dog is pursuing you instead. So the absolute best game that you can start, even with young puppies, is hide and go seek. So hide behind doorways in your house, call the puppy, and then pop them a treat and run away. Or hide behind trees in your backyard, or you can even call them, drop treats right on the grass or the ground wherever you are, and then run away from that point. So the object is that you're calling the dog, they're coming to you. As soon as they get to you, you're not catching them, you're just bolting and running, and you're building that prey drive to chase you. So if you think about it, a lot of times when dogs take off from you, they're running towards something. So they're chasing a bird or want to play with a dog down the street, and they're going after the movement. So if we can turn that prey drive on us and get them to pursue us, then the next time if something happens and they do shoot out the door, then you might get a little glimmer back looking for you. And sometimes that little glimpse or glimmer, that's all you've got. So we need to build on it as much as we can. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Okay guys, so you notice for this first portion of come, we're practicing in my kitchen. We want to do this in a really quiet area to start so we can just build the excitement level where there's not a lot of outs. So there's not a lot of doors to go through or anything like that. You notice I've got her long line on. So we're going to get started with just a basic come. And there's no distractions out here, so I'm just going to come down this way. Oh, you want to follow me? Oh my goodness. So we're going to add a little distraction and see if she can come away from it. Put it down here. No, come. Yay, yay, yay. Good girl. Nice job. If they like playing with toys, you can entice them with a toy. Let's see if she'll come. One more treat. Nova, come. Yay, good girl, good girl. All right, let's try the toy as a distraction. Nova, come. Yay, good girl. So you notice I don't care if she brought it back. I just want her to come as fast as she can. Good girl. Let's try that one more time. Oh, good girl. All right. Let's have one more distraction. And just see if anything maybe on the edge of the counter might be a deterrent for her to come away from, something to steal. No, come. Yay! Good girl. Very nice. So you notice this, she hid under the chair a second ago when I went to go set things up. She seems to really like this toy. So if she did this with something that was dangerous, I would just call her. If you notice, I gave her double treats and made it worth her while to bring it back to me. So we didn't discipline her. We didn't say, leave it. We didn't get on her case about it. We basically just said, come here as exciting as we can, and you can give her belly rubs or any kind of love that lets her know that she did a really good job. If you're using this as the reward system, then whenever she comes, I would play tuggy with her and have some fun and kind of go back and forth. She seems interested in the toy, but she doesn't seem like really wanting to go after it a whole lot. So I don't know if I'll probably use food more with her than a toy, but we'll continue to test it a few different ways and see how she does. Now you notice I also, when I'm calling her, I'm backing up a lot. That's super important, and you're going to see that in part of the later videos as a way of kind of driving that prey drive up a little bit more. So you can get a lot more speed and a lot more excitement out of your dog if you back up when you call them in the beginning, instead of just standing stationary in one spot. So don't be afraid to get really excited and really bouncy and really let your dog haul out the more distance that you get. So we're in a very short distance now. In our next video, we're going to add some distance and go out in the yard and add some distractions. So let's get going. Good job.
Hey everybody, okay, I'm back with Miss Nova, but this time we've upped the ante a little bit. So once we're pretty good in the house and we're coming pretty reliably, then we need to add a lot of distractions. So we're taking her out in the yard. We've got her on her long line again, and we're going to see if there's some stuff that maybe gets her distracted, and we're going to try and call her away from that. So I'm going to walk her around.
Good girl, good job. No, come. Hurry.
All right, this treat was a little much, so what we're going to do is come right up to her. Come.
Yes, good job.
And kind of help her in. So let's do that again so you can see that distraction. Come a little closer. All right, Miss Nova. All right, so I'm going to throw that treat out again. Nova, come. Come. Come.
Yes. Good job.
Again.
Nova, come. Hurry. Good girl. Good job. Yay.
Let's try that one more time. Come.
Yes, good girl.
All right, so you can see as I add really difficult distractions that it's much harder for her to come, right? So a treat is hard, but in the real world, a squirrel or another dog or that kind of stuff is going to be much more difficult. So there's a couple tactics that I use here. One, I got right up on her. So when she couldn't come away from it, I ran right up to her, showed her the tree, and kind of helped her away. All right? Yes, good girl. Okay? As she did better, I increased that distance a little bit. I still continued to do the back up and away, and even run away and get her to chase me a little bit. So as you add distractions, that's going to be something that you want to continue to do when you're on your safe line in your safe yard.